You're listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show, where wealth is empowering, purpose is crucial, and high vibes are non-negotiable. And now, here's your host, certified business coach and practical woo strategist, Sarah J. Loureiro.
Hey beauty, did you know that I just opened up some spots to work with me one-on-one? As an exclusive one-on-one business coaching client, you will get access to pretty much everything that I release this calendar year. So including my mastermind, including the amazing fully booked formula. If this is your year to finally up-level your business to the income and impact that really pushes you beyond your wildest dreams, we need to talk. You can book a free call with me to see if you're a good fit from the link bit.ly//let's talk success. That's uppercase L, uppercase T, uppercase S. Or you can head over to my website at sarahjloureiro.com/workwithsarah to find out more.
All right, welcome you guys to another episode of the Uplevel Your Online Business Show with me, Sarah J. Loureiro, certified business coach and practical woo strategist. And I've just been talking to Elise about how we're going to frame this episode for you guys today. And I'm actually really excited about it because Elise has a lot of really incredible marketing techniques and just a really awesome story to share with you guys that I think will inspire you, especially for people who feel really wary of, investing money into Facebook ads early on into your business and things like that. So thank you so much for being here, Elise. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to talk to you guys today. So thank you for the intro. Yeah, so I am a business mentor and a success coach. So basically I help purpose-based women start and scale businesses to be profitable and purposeful. So that was really a huge part of my intention when I started. I wanted to make sure that I was working with women who deeply desired to really make a difference, as cheesy as it kind of sounds, but really put their work, their work out into the world that they were so passionate about and make sure that they were getting paid massively in return. My background is a little bit similar to yours in that I had a few businesses before this, in that I was a yoga instructor and I also had a nutrition practice. And what really just fueled me to start this up was that I just kept seeing so many women who were so service-based and, heart-centered and were driven by purpose, but also held back by not feeling like they could charge their services or be afraid to kind of put themselves out there and really get visible organically, as, a lot of the way I did it, as you mentioned, but really get themselves out there and start now and start to get their business rolling fast. So that was kind of, my idea and how I began this thing. And it became a really interesting journey in the sense of I was kind of my own case study. So I started my business really quickly. I was kind of all about scrappy, imperfect action, to be honest.
Love it.
I had just kind of shut down my previous business, and it kind of just gave me I was a bit of an F it mentality. I don't know if we can swear or not, but I'll say F it.
I think it puts a rating, an R rating, if you swear within the episode. But F it is totally cool.
I'll hold it back. Totally. So I just kind of tore down my business and started this one really quickly and took imperfect action and was very transparent about my journey along the way and was basically just inviting people to join me. So I shut down my business. I started a new one. I think within 4 weeks, I had signed 3 or 4 high-end clients. I had, long story short, taken up 2 part-time jobs to support this business and make me feel secure and basically hire and invest in my business when I started. And I really committed to, getting those 2 part-time jobs, but I said to my husband that I was going to quit them in 6 weeks. And to the day I ended my jobs, which was amazing. So I was able to generate income very quickly, all through organic marketing and really going all in with building real relationships with my community. So yeah, that's kind of been my story. I was able to grow really quickly to 6 figures cash received in 10 months. And it was all organic through very intimate groups and numbers. So I'm just such an advocate for it because I don't think a lot of people are doing it this way.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to dive into all of that. But can I just say as well, I love how you just kind of were like, okay, I need more capital, right? Like I need to have this all work. I'm going to find, a few part-time jobs, but I'm going to quit them in 6 weeks. Cause I think it's really important. And I think it's really inspiring for a lot of people because they feel like, by going back to a job that they're somehow a failure. Whereas in fact, going back to a job can really, really help you, especially if you have like a lot of money mindset, scarcity, and all of that kind of stuff. So, and the fact that you were able to quit just 6 weeks on the day, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I know it's crazy. I honestly still get goosebumps about it. Because I blew my own mind a little bit. Like I was so set on it and I've become really good at, manifesting, to be honest, and just really setting myself on, a goal and achieving it. But I love saying that. And I give so many permission to do it because I think that's what holds so many of us back at the beginning. Do you know what I mean? Like we're resistant to invest, but like businesses take investments. It's just how it is, right? There's really no getting around that. Like, of course you don't. I mean, I don't know. In my opinion, you just have to invest. Like it's either going to be your time, your money, or, potentially your sanity, to be completely honest.
For sure, for sure. And I feel like we could probably both attest to the times where we thought that we can do everything on our own, especially in the beginning stages of our first businesses. And how different are even our own money mentalities are.
Oh, crazy. And yeah, I just like it's a game changer, Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, if you guys can hear the rain, it just started pouring. Can you hear it, Elise?
A little bit, yeah. But it's like soothing. I like the sound of the rain.
Yeah, it is. Hopefully, if anyone is listening right now, and if you guys love the sound of the rain, let me know because I try to avoid the rainy times like all the time, but then I just can't. I just have to
You'll
go
never
with
podcast. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I would just never podcast exactly. And that's the whole thing is the whole like done is better than perfect. I remember when I was talking to my coach about doing a podcast and being like, I don't have the perfect living conditions right now. We're in this like small little house in Nicaragua while we build our dream home. And she was just like, well, who said it needs to be perfect?
Yes.
Like, good point.
I love that.
That's what I tell my clients all the time.
Totally. But we like just need that sometimes, right?
Exactly. Yeah. We need that kick in the butt ourselves. And that's exactly what you're talking about too, I think, especially in terms of the investing. And I think it's so brilliant that you said that. And I think it's also really important. And I really hope that this inspires someone to hear that like it's perfectly fine for you to go back to a part-time job or back to two part-time jobs to be able to generate the capital that you need to have your business grow, right? Because businesses don't grow without money invested into them. And businesses definitely do not grow from a place of money mindset scarcity. So
100%. And yeah, thank you. And I love telling people it, to be honest. Like at first I'm not going to lie, it was a huge ego hit because I had been self-employed for like almost 6 years at that stage. So I was like, I'm not even employable. Like, I don't even have a resume for the last how many years. So, I was just like creative and resourceful as anything. And I got jobs that were kind of more contracting online, and it just allowed me to be able to bang out my work at home and then fit in my business stuff. And I completely am an advocate for it. I just see it helping so many people move forward faster when they have that safety net and they're not in that place of like, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay my mortgage or my rent next month, right?
Exactly. Yes. Which is what drives so many people into this deep end, into this desperation mode of like, no, I can't invest in my business because I can barely even afford what I'm doing. And every time I see that, my heart just goes out to those women. And I'm just like, it's totally fine for you to get a second job or like a part-time job or whatever it is, right? Like there's no shame.
Absolutely. Absolutely no shame. And it's going to make you so resourceful and like so good at only doing the important things in your business from day one when you have like limited time,
Right. I know, because when you have all of the time in the world to work on your business, it's actually really hard to set time priorities for sure.
Totally. Yeah, exactly.
So let's get into this organic marketing and this, like, Elise has a really, really small email list and she has a very small community, and she was still able to create a massive impact within her own community and make six figures, in like less than a year. So let's get into kind of like the nitty gritties of how you did this. So I know that you're posting into Facebook groups, and you're giving value in Facebook groups. That's how I met you. But do you want to kind of elaborate a little bit more on what your philosophy was and what your strategy was in terms of doing this? Do you always believe when you started out this business that you were going to be like, I'm just going to do organic marketing with a super teeny tiny list and it's going to get me to where I want to be? Or was it something that evolved over time?
Yeah, it definitely evolved over time. I had done ads in previous businesses and I had made the mistake of not testing and being 1,000,000% bang on with my message and my offers. And so it ended up costing me an epic F ton of money and time. And I just didn't want to do that again. And I knew I could do it organically. I knew I would be able to connect with the people. I didn't intend on growing it slowly necessarily, but it was intentional after the beginning because I booked myself out really early. So there was not really, and I've gone on to grow since and do masterminds and whatnot, but it didn't make sense for my business model to then only focus on growth when I was already full. Do you know what I mean? Like you want to make sure you're growing at a rate that makes sense. And the thing was my conversion rates were just unheard of. So what I've really nailed is being able to convert on such a high level that I don't have to spend so much time generating people because I convert the ones in front of me really well. So my initial strategy was really to get out there and help the people. So honestly, my main goal was to start mentoring people in my Facebook group, to help them get results. And I don't know why I knew this so deeply, but it's just something I believe that like, if I could help them even just make a jump in their business, I knew they would hire me. And I knew that like, if I was really on point with my messaging and giving immense amounts of value in my content and in my free trainings, that it would just become a no-brainer for people to take the next step. And that's just kind of exactly what happened. So whilst I definitely used a strategy with Facebook for the most part, especially at the beginning. So, because I did have a previous business, I did have a presence, but I had been completely off of it really for about a month. But I still had I basically used a personal network. So I reached out to people who I had known through my previous business that I had reached out to me about getting support with building their businesses. I invited people in personally. And then I just started to create really damn good content that spoke to exactly where my people were at and really made them feel on an emotional level that they were understood and that I really got them. And I niched down super, super narrow at the beginning too. And I think this helped me massively. So I focused basically on health professionals and nutritionists at the beginning because that was my background. And I was just naturally kind of surrounded by those people. So by getting so niched and speaking so specifically to exactly what they were struggling with, what they were thinking, what they were doing, I was just really easily able to connect to them through my Facebook content, and then through building relationships in the group. And it just made it like kind of a hell yes, no brainer for them to then take that next step.
Beautiful. I freaking love that. And that's something that I was going to say too, because when you have such a small community, and I've mentored people with this, and I've also seen other people do this really, really well. It all comes down to your messaging. So if your messaging is just like spot on with the exact person that you want to invite in, it becomes a lot easier for you to convert people, especially from a really small community. And that's essentially one of the biggest differences with ads too. If you do like really, really niche ads, you're looking at your conversion rates pretty much doubling, right? So that's it's a mindset shift too, right? Because if you were doing it through ads, you probably still would have been successful. But then it's that whole mindset thing of like, oh my goodness, I'm paying like $6 a lead or whatever it is. And it's also that trusting factor, which is something that I really
100%.
love. And I think it's something that you talked about with it, like within your podcast form that I ask out all of the guests to fill out. It's this whole idea of like faith, right? Like trusting. And I'm sure that it probably wasn't easy for you going in being like, okay, I'm not going to do, I've done ads in the past, or I've done like all of these other things in the past. Right now, I'm just going to focus on this one thing and I'm going to trust that it works. Do you want to talk a bit more about that?
Yes. I love this so much. I even get goosebumps. This honestly, I think this is everything. Like I have a lot of clients that take totally different approaches to business than I do, which I love because that's what it's all about, right? It's like doing what works for you. And this is what it comes down to. Like, this is what I think really makes or breaks anyone's results, quite frankly. And it's just simply being willing to buckle down on a strategy and focus on that and decide that it's going to work and really continue to show up for that and trust it until it shows up for you. Because there's no way that it doesn't if you're consistent and you're executing it well and regularly. You know what I mean? But that's it's a mindset though, and it's a jump for a lot of people, right? Because I think in this online space, it is so easy to get distracted. It's so easy to see, someone using Pinterest or someone using something else to generate leads or Facebook ads or all of the shiny things, and then doubt ourselves and question whether we're doing it right. Right?
Absolutely. I can't even begin to explain to you the amount of times that my clients will come up to me. They'll be like, Sarah, I really want to do this thing because so-and-so said that it like really helped them generate, like 7 figures or whatever. Yeah. And then I talk to them about it and I'm like, hey, is that what you want to do? Like in your gut, do you feel like that's an aligned strategy for you? And then they'll be like, oh, no, like, I don't know, but this person did it and, like it got them really amazing results. And I'm like, well, whatever you do and whatever you do well is going to get you amazing results. Whatever you feel aligned to is what's going to get you amazing results, right? So you just have to find that one thing and go with it.
100%. And it's about like looking at your strengths. Like I think it helped a lot that I have just such a crazy varied background and experience, but I think it helps to know what your strengths are, right? And like I know I'm a good communicator and I'm a good writer. And I actually like doing live streams and I like connecting deep with people. So it only made sense for me to leverage all those strengths and then lean into that trust. Because I think that helps us kind of bridge the gap a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Because if we're new to business and we're like, oh, but I don't know if I'm good at this. If you can lean into the aspects that are going to help you execute that really well, I think that's something that will really help you build up that self-trust and holding the faith that, of course, I know I'm already good at this. I know if I apply it in this way, there's no way that can't work.
Yes. I think that that's amazing. And it's such a useful tool to have. I'm also super curious, and I think that this would also help like all of the newbie entrepreneurs that are watching this, but when you first started this business, because we were talking about messaging, we were talking about, how niched you were. I'm assuming you probably like slightly broadened your freebie, but how much tweaking do you feel like you had to do until you were like bang on, like this is exactly what I'm going to be offering people for free, and this is exactly the person who I'm serving?
Yeah. So it's a bit of an interesting question. And I think my answer will surprise people, but I want to caveat my answer by saying I know I was able to do this because I'd done it so many times in my previous businesses. So, and like I had done it in a way that because wasn't really aligned, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So I think because when I landed on this business, I was like, I know this is it. Like, I know this is exactly the point at which all of my strengths come to meet. And like my background in marketing and PR and like yoga and, all of the backgrounds of I had in coaching, I was like, oh, this only makes sense. Like, it's so weird. So when I kind of came into it, I was like, no, I'm going to serve the people I know really darn well at this stage. And that's people who are basically in my spot like 2 years ago. Right. I know exactly what they're struggling with because I was right there too. And I'm going to call them out on their stuff, to be completely honest, because I know that's what's holding them back. So it didn't actually take me that much tweaking. It was very clear to me, but that's simply because of my experience and like everything I'd gone through before. Now, I've definitely broadened my market a lot since then. And that's just kind of happened naturally. And I think as we grow in business too, like, obviously I see things a little bit differently now after scaling. And I think I speak to my philosophy on business is a little bit different from the beginning, and the way I support people is slightly different too. But it's still like, it's just having that skill to know how to speak to your people and how to show what you're sharing is of value to them. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that this happens a lot with a lot of women, is that we evolved so much from that specific point in time, especially coaches. So we evolved so much from the point of time that our ideal clients are at, that sometimes we forget that we're evolving, but our ideal client's the same ideal client, right? Sometimes they could be, right? Like sometimes they can evolve with us. But I love that you said that, because even as you kind of grew to a 6-figure business, you're not talking to people who are growing 6-figure businesses. You're not talking about that. You're still talking about the beginning stages, right? Because you understand that that's where people need your help the most.
Totally. And it has evolved a little bit recently. And as I talk about a little bit, because to be honest, and this is just my philosophy too, like I don't see starting and scaling all that different when you have the right foundations in place and you've built the foundation of a sustainable business. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah. Because it's like, well, once you have a system and you know how you bring in clients, it becomes really easy to then replicate that in different areas. But yeah, you're exactly right. And I see this all the time too, in that like we forget to really like, and this is a skill we just have to build, is like really put ourselves in their headspace, like really look at their world from their point of view and see where it is they're feeling stuck and what they think is holding them back. Because often that's different to what we kind of see on the other side, right?
Yes. And then I always tell my clients too, after you sign on a few clients, then you start to understand like who your perfect fit client is. Totally. And which one, how many clients have you had, and which one is like your absolute favorite that you love to duplicate over and over and over again. And then you develop so much more clarity to your message. And as long as you're just kind of always focusing on like the 1% tweaks from there, and not completely reinventing the wheel, it's kind of like what you said, right? It's just like, well, it hasn't really changed that much since I started. And it's because you already went through it. And I think that you're really good at messaging, essentially. Another thing that I really like, that I find so interesting about your business, and not necessarily the fact that I like it because you don't have a big community, but I guess what I'm trying to say here is your business kind of proves that you just need to make genuine relationships. You just need to be authentic, because like your community size is still really small, right? It's not like all of a sudden you just like ballooned out of nowhere overnight. It continues to be small because you continue to only allow the right people in, which I love.
Yeah. And it's been intentional, totally, because I want to, like, I love my group so much, and like it's such an amazing space, and I don't see a lot of groups that have that level of engagement and that level of actual community in them. And that's super intentional. Like I don't let everyone in who asks to come in. Do you know what I mean? And that was something I was so intentional about. And so many people will tell you that's a silly thing to do. And it was just aligned with what I wanted to create. So I love that you mentioned that. Like I could not believe more in relationship-based sales and relationship-based running businesses, because at the end of the day, that's what they are, right? And then it's like a really comforting thing, because I'm like, well, I mean, my scalability is like amazing here. Do you know what I mean? Like I could just scale it so easily because I already know how to convert at a high level. But I love what you said about relationships, because I just think it's something that people are craving so much. And I think it's what gives your business sustainability. You know, like I think it's easy to kind of come in and not burn your bridges, but like come into this, especially the online space, and like, and I think I have this perspective because I was in it for a long time, but there are so many people that I've seen come and go.
Right. Yes.
And it's just like, that is not what I
subject, but it's so true.
It is. And it's just the truth. And it's like, what I know to be true is if you build good relationships with your people, you serve them really well, you deliver above and beyond, there's no way that doesn't grow your business and you don't become massively sustainable and scalable, right?
Exactly. Yes. Yes. And I think that I see this a lot too, where so my clients are like a combination. I have some clients who like have never had an email list before.
Yeah.
And are like, I'm just so excited to get started. Like I kind of did a few things on Instagram, but I haven't really done a lot. And then I have other clients who have, like they have an email list. They've kind of tried ads before, or they've tried like these different things that they bought from like these like really low end programs and things like that. And we look at all of that and we see like it's not working for them. And it's not that it's not working, but it's that there's no engagement, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's this whole conundrum of, you have these like really, really high top experts that are like, set up a sales funnel, set up an email funnel, bring a whole bunch of people through ads, and all of that is going to do the converting for you, right? So they end up, with a whole bunch of people on their email list or a whole bunch of people in their community, but none of them are engaged. And so when we work together, it's all about the relationship building. I'm like, start talking to them. They're like, what do you mean start talking to them? I'm like, well, how many times do you actually just book a call with someone, straight from an email, right? Like you have to know, like, and trust that person a lot more than just, like going through an ad. And sometimes it does work, right? Like it's worked beautifully in my business. It's worked beautifully in some of my clients' businesses we set up the whole ads funnel. And it's like you said, you have to be really, really intentional with it, but especially when you're first starting out. And I would say not even just when you're first starting out, but the relationships, like how can you dive deeper into those relationships, right? How can you serve people on a deeper level? How can you get in contact with them more often? I think that those are questions that we need to ask ourselves when we are in the place where, like we might have a community, but for some reason, like nothing, like you have like an 8% open rate on your emails or something like that. And in your mind, it's kind of like nothing is working. But what's really happening is that these people don't know you enough. They don't know 100%. You. And what you're saying is that like your people know you.
Yeah.
Right? They know exactly who Elise is.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I see that all the time with clients too. I have one that's gone through a very similar thing. I'm like, cool. So like you have the people there. How do we just connect with them more? Right? Like it's more of like, and this has been very much my strategy. Instead of casting the net wide, I just went really deep. And that's just because it's like a bit of my personality, to be honest. I'm like, small talk kind of kills me. I just want to talk about fun things and get really deep. And, it's like my philosophy, psychology background. I'm like, I don't care about the surface level stuff. Like, I want to know you and like hear what you want to create and like find out about your purpose and like really go out there and get into the good stuff. So yeah, it's like, it's so much love that extension. Yeah. And I think it's like, maybe, 5-8 years ago, the funnels were working, right? Like the conversion rates were a lot higher. It's just that marketing's changed so much.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And I think too, like, it's very different. And I tell my clients this all the time, but you could literally have the exact same email funnel as a 7-figure entrepreneur who hired a copywriter, right, to do their entire email funnel. So who has an ad strategist, and you still probably would not convert at the same level as they are. And it's because your energy is so different, right?
Yes.
Like it's not just about the words that you have, and it's not just about the strategy. It's about your mindset. It's about all of the energy that you're putting into it. And it's about what ultimately feels aligned to you.
100%. Completely. Like I could not agree with that anymore. That's exactly right. Like there's no one right way, right? Like ads are great. Yeah. You know, doing Instagram is great. Whatever. Funnels are great. Nothing's wrong or better. It's just that like, it's, you know, to make it easier on yourself and to frankly have it work better, you just want to do things that feel good to you and actually excite you. Because that's always going to be where you're showing up. Honestly, producing better work and connecting better with your humans, right?
Yes, exactly. And I think that especially for our audience, it's that deeper layer as well. So it's that whole idea of, well, what does selling mean to you, right? Like what does relationship building mean to you? And you know, if you haven't done it in the past, or if I'm, you know, showing you these strategies to do it and it's very off-putting to you, we need to talk about it, right? Because it's either off-putting because it's not in alignment, or it's off-putting because the fact that it's scary. Exactly. And if it's scary, that's a mindset block and we need to work through that.
100%. Yeah. I love that you look at it that way too, because I'm exactly the same. Like, and I think this is like an interesting thing, because at the beginning of my business, and still now, I work with different business owners, you know, and some people will be like, you know what, that just doesn't feel aligned. I'm like, are we sure? Because I feel like there's like some fear or some stuff going on behind that. So it is, and that's a hard thing to kind of notice for ourselves sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I always love to think about this. And this, like, there's a lot of different facets of this that I teach, and I'm loving teaching this in my mastermind right now because it's just making so much sense to my ladies. But so many things are on a continuum, and like, so basically there's always like fears on one hand and then egos on the other hand, and in the middle is empowerment. And that's usually how pretty much everything goes, right? I apply this as well to things like being too hard on yourself versus being too gentle on yourself. And like, you want the sweet spot that is in the middle. And oftentimes the being too hard on yourself and too gentle on yourself, you have no idea where you are on that continuum, right? Yeah, you don't know if you're being too hard on yourself, and you also don't know if you're just giving yourself too many excuses. So much part of this process is just in that awareness, right? It's exactly what you said. It's, this doesn't feel aligned to me. It's like, okay, well, on the one hand, it's like ego, you know, I don't want to do this because it just feels too pushy to me. But then on the complete other side of it, it's just like, I'm afraid of selling because I'm afraid of making other people feel uncomfortable. And so it's always this constant process of like, okay, which one of them is it? Right? Yes. And how can we get you into the middle?
Exactly. It's like, this just came up for me, and I think it's such a good example, and because I know you are a yoga instructor as well. It's like, I think you'll resonate with this, and I think people will resonate with this. It's like, as a yoga instructor, I would always see people who would either only do like power yoga or only ever do like yin and meditation. And I'm like, you guys need to switch spots. Like the one over here that's doing like all of the intense like power and hot, I'm like, you need to go sit your butt down and do some meditation. And you know, the people who are like really into the meditation and the yin, like, you need to go get your sweat on, sort of thing. And it's just like balancing out those two things, right?
Right. And I think this is where I love personalities and even in yoga, the doshas. I used to work a lot with pittas in yoga, because pittas are like, so if anyone has no idea what I'm talking about in terms of doshas, I would encourage you to go out and do your dosha quiz because it's also so, so helpful. But essentially, there's always like 3 different dosha constitutions. And so I would attract a lot of the pittas, which makes sense because I'm a pitta. We have like a fire up our ass, and like
Me too.
we're just always go. And and we need to be reeled in, right? Like we're the ones who like want the power yoga but need the yin.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same with my it's the exact same with my business clients. We're all the doers, the go-getters, the go. And what we need to do is actually find a lot more alignment and stop just doing pure strategy all the time and really look into the mindset and the energy aspects of everything that we're doing as well.
100%. And like, stop doing the pushing, you know, like, and like, look, you can push your way to 6 figures, but like, you're going to burn out at some stage. So I wouldn't recommend it. You know what I mean? And you're going to feel like you have to burn it all down or start from scratch to then continue or grow from there.
Exactly. Yes, because it's not sustainable at some point in time. And I loved this saying, you can go far and you can go fast, but you can't go far fast.
Yes. Oh, I like that.
For long. Or, you know what? I completely messed it up. But you understand my drift. So it's essentially just like, okay, like you can do both of these things, right? Like you can be a marathon runner and a sprinter, but like you can't be a sprinter for that long, right? No. Like you can sprint, but like eventually a sprinter can only do a specific amount of running before they exhaust themselves, right? And entrepreneurship really, really is about the marathon. It's not about the sprint. And so, exactly what you said. You can push yourself to 6 figures. You can push yourself through strategy, but at some point in time, you're going to get exhausted, which is why it's so, so important to build up that foundation.
Oh, completely. I love that so much. And it's just so true. I love what you said about, you just don't like, I mean, you can do it. It's an option, but it's, there's so much value. And I've noticed this so much in my business is like finding that like lean back and finding that ability to really anchor into the mindset is really what makes you grow faster too. You know, like it might feel a little bit slower at the beginning, but like that is just such an invaluable skill to really have, because that's always going to help you move forward when you hit hurdles. Because let's be honest, we're all going to hit them, right? That's what helps you to like move past them and move further without getting, stuck at different stages.
Yes. And everyone has mindset hurdles at every single up level. And it's so funny because a lot of the times we just think like, oh, it's just because I'm a newbie that I'm thinking like this or that, like this is happening to me. Whereas I'm like, how would it feel if I told you that, like I hit, a $20,000 month and I still have that exact same scarcity mindset that you have. But it's the only difference is that now I know how to navigate that scarcity. However, it's still there. The thought is still there, right? Like it's 100%. Always going to be there. There's always going to be something that wants to hold you back, that wants to keep you playing small, no matter what up level you're at. So I love that.
Yeah, it's so true. And I've had the exact same experience. It's like, oh, when I hit 20, 25K, I'll just be like, smooth sailing. And like the same things pop up, right?
Yeah, it's always the same crap. So what are you working on now? What is all like new and exciting for you and your business? You mentioned that you had a mastermind as well. So you do one-on-one, you do a mastermind. Where can everyone find you? Like, what's all new and exciting?
So, I've been running a mastermind. I love it so much. It's called Content Connections and Conversions. So it's really kind of like a lot about marketing and my philosophy on helping you get started and paid really fast, to be honest. So that's actually, we're finishing up this month. It's been amazing. It's been like a 3-month long mastermind. Yeah. So I'll be kicking that off again in August, maybe a tiny bit sooner, just depending. I'm just kind of really loving it with my one-on-ones and the mastermind at the moment. So I have a couple ideas in the works for other stuff, but nothing's been solidified yet. But yeah, you can find me at EliseDanielle.com. I'm on Facebook with the same handle and Insta as well. And my group is the Purpose Driven Badass Entrepreneur, which is just the greatest place.
Yeah, and it's a really nice little cozy group. And yeah, if you really enjoy Elise, definitely go check out all of her links. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. This has been great.
Hey, did you like or love this episode? If so, I would so appreciate it if you left a review and rated this episode on iTunes. It would literally mean so much to me. And if you have Instagram and are all up in your Instagram stories like I am, I would love it if you would share this episode with your beautiful followers so they can also get all of the high vibes, all of the free information that I'm giving you here. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show. If you enjoy our show and would like the show notes and free goodies about how to grow your online coaching business, head over to sarahjlorero.com for more information. We hope you'll tune in next time.